on the morning roundup. Time for our community conversation brought to you by our friends at Floyd County Medical Center, online at fcmc.us.com. Join me in the bullpen here this morning, Chickasaw County Sheriff Ryan Shawver joining us. Ryan, thanks for joining me here this morning.
Good morning, Rob. Good to be back in the studio. The last few times it's been over the phone, but that works too.
Yeah, well, the long and the short of it was Mark Pitts, our news director, sports director, got in a little bit of a tussle with a 10-point buck, I heard. So,
oh, boy.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I could not transport over here for a couple of weeks there. Car was in the shop, so to speak. So
yeah, 'tis the season for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? We're not quite out of the woods yet. I know that winter is settled in here, but lack of winter thereof for this past week. Really,
yes. There really is no end of the season for deer hits. So we find it's one of those things. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. They're out there all the time. You just can't get away from them. It's always good to keep an eye out for them. Don't veer for deer is always that common thing. When you see one, just hit the brakes and brace for the hit. You don't want to veer. You could end up in the ditch or in oncoming traffic. So it's just take the hit and deal with it afterwards.
The upside for them anyway is they break in some new antlers after that.
They do. They do.
Especially if they get caught on the grill. But of course, we're moving into February now and moving on to another subject. We're getting into, the big game weekend up ahead. Super Bowl is coming right around the corner here. And, a lot of people are going to be probably making some plans, maybe having some parties, hosting, or going to destination parties there. And maybe some things we want to, again, keep in mind if we tend to over embellish this weekend.
That does seem to happen on Super Bowl Sunday. It's one of the biggest weekends of the year, it seems to be. Just want to remind people to be smart, be safe, designate a driver. If you do have too much or you need a ride, phone a friend, call someone. If you go to another area where they offer the rideshare services, whether it's Uber, Lyft, there's local taxi services, utilize those options. Maybe designate somebody to drive before you guys go, or hopefully you've got somebody you could call and say, hey, I need a ride to come pick me up. Every time you think you're okay, you're probably not. And we just want to make sure that you're safe, but especially those that are also on the road that, want to make sure that they're safe as well. You don't want to hurt anyone else, especially yourself or anyone else.
It's kind of almost like, some of us are just stubborn to the fact, stubborn to a point in which, we know we can handle it, but, to somebody else, they may see that, well, you probably had a little too much.
It impairs judgment. Correct.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely things to keep in mind there. And also, of course, we're moving along here. Next thing we know, eventually, once we get done with the winter season, we got spring around the corner. And of course, we'll have, of course, the roads will be a little more safer for, driving. And of course, again, keeping things in mind with how things are drive-wise. You want to keep to, the right speed limits and so on
for sure.
So forth.
It feels like spring right now. I've been joking with friends recently. I said, I think we start planting corn here next week, the way it feels, but you're going to start to see probably some implements moving along the road, getting into the dealers to get service ready for spring. I think this current weather pattern is going to get people really in that spring fever, but remember, it's still October. We couldn't even touch on snowmobiles much this year because there's not enough snow, but those side-by-sides are still out and about. Those are a machine that can be utilized 12 months out of the year. So they're still out there. Be cautious of them and those that are operating them. Remember, those are a vehicle that has to abide by all state laws and state codes. So just because you have the ability to go off-road and do some things that maybe a normal vehicle won't do, you still got to be operating those like a motor vehicle when you're on those roadways.
Absolutely. Chickasaw County Sheriff Ryan Shawver joining us here on the morning roundup. And of course, I just happened to glance at one of our local pieces of literature here in town. I saw that you had you took part in cowboy poetry here recently.
I personally did not. No, you don't want to hear me sing or try to do poetry. That's for sure. But the Lawler Lions Club, they do a fundraiser like this every year. It was started about 18 years ago, if I remember correctly, by Jerry Merrily Mishak. If anybody knows Mish, he was a deputy for Chickasaw County. Oh man, it's 20 years at least, if not 22, if not more. So apologize, Jerry, if I'm getting this all wrong, but they started this and they've paired up with Lawler Lions Club. And what they do is all proceeds generated by that fundraiser, they donate back to a Chickasaw County organization. We were the lucky recipients this year for our canine unit. to get those proceeds from that fundraiser. It's a great event. Was not able to attend the entire show one night, just got some other things going on, but I was there for a while, and it's fun. It's funny. They've got good music, good poetry. It's a good time. And it's a good benefit for us for the canine unit. Our canine unit is 100% supported by donations. There's no tax dollars that fund our department that fund the canine unit. So it's very important for us to keep that going. It's a very important part of our department, very important for the community to have a canine unit keep going. And it's our plans to keep that going. Our current dog is about 6.5, 7 years old. Hopefully Duke can continue to work for a few more years, but we need to start planning for the future. And a new dog costs anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000. So it's a pretty big expense all up front. And then there's the ongoing cost for that too. So we really appreciate the support that the Lawler Lions Club did for us this year.
Absolutely. I just thought, kind of interesting. You saw that in the local paper there, and that you're doing some great work there.
Yes.
Again, with the community, getting out there and again, supporting canine unit. Next thing you know, Duke's going to want to start cashing in on that pension.
Oh, indeed. For sure.
Definitely. More information, Ryan, on all the things you guys are doing there. General questions, information. How can we get a hold of you?
You can call our office, 641-394-3121. That's the non-emergency line. Of course, emergency line's 911. But for general information, that's the number we want you to use, is the 3121. Our website, chickasawcounty.iowa.gov, can get you information on not just our office, but other offices within the county. Or my email address is r.shawver@chickasawcountyiowa.gov.
All right. Excellent, Ryan. Thanks for joining us here once again on the Morning Roundup. And of course, every month, keeping up to speed on see how things are doing. Probably next thing you know, we'll start getting a little further into spring, thanks to the groundhog saying that we're going to get an early spring.
Let's hope so.
Let's stick to it. I don't know. Iowa, sometimes Mother Nature has different plans.
Yes, for sure. And any listeners out there, if you got anything you want us to talk about on here, email the radio station, or email me, and we'll try to get those topics on there if there's something we can discuss.
Absolutely. And we'll do that. Ryan, again, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks, Rob.
Ryan Shawver, Chickasaw County Sheriff, on the Morning Roundup on 95.1 The Bull, brought to you by Floyd County Medical Center, fcmc.us.com.